What's the rudest thing someone said to you during your cold call challenge? If a principal told a brand new BDM tomorrow, is that setting them up to succeed or burning them out before they learn the real skill? Is the real problem the method or the mindset, and what kept you dialing on day 20? Welcome to today's episode, which I have been very excited to do because it's on cold calling, and I have got Kenslee from Platinum joining me today. So welcome, Kenslee.
Thanks, so.
Now, I have got lots of juicy questions.
Yeah.
I know you're up for it. So, and I also just want to disclaim that I am absolutely just playing devil's advocate as well. Like questions I ask are not that I actually genuinely think it. It's just more throwing the questions out there that people might have. And yeah, it's not me having an opinion to say cold calling shit either. But it's just like, I think where I struggle for me, it's because cold calling isn't something that I enjoy doing. No. So therefore I don't do it. Could I benefit from doing it? Maybe. Do I want to have a happy life? Yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And am I hungry enough? No. That's my problem.
Yeah.
So if I was really hungry for new managements and I was on $20,000 a year and the only way I was going to make money was by cold calling, would I do it? Sure.
You would, yeah.
But I'm not.
You know, yeah, I know. Well, the whole idea of the cold calling challenge just came off like a funny reel that Ella had sent me, and it was very Americanized, but it was basically off the synopsis. You're only 2,000 cold calls away from your first $1 million. Obviously, very Americanized, and there's going to be a long way behind it. But you knowing my story, my back end story is that, you know, like I'm done business development management now for like 4 or 5 years. But my network is all other real estate agents, so I can't go and call other real estate agents for their managements. So, and in our office, we've obviously got Hayley that's in our office, and she's a gun BDM. Like, she's doing consistently 50 new managements a month. But she's been in that role for 5 years now, and she definitely did some cold calling to begin with now. But because she's got her referral network and she's well known enough, she's not having to do the hard yards. So the way I would see cold calling is always still important, but for me, initially coming back into the industry after being off for so long and not really having a name for myself among customers, I feel like that the cold calling is definitely required in the initial grunt work of a good BDM.
And that's the question I was just going to ask. Is it something that long-term BDMs should be doing, or is it, just to start the fire? Yeah,
well, I definitely need to start the fire. And then I think that once you've got to that level, cold calling is still important for any type of BDM. I think it's a really important part of any toolkit, basically. You obviously work really well on like relationships, natural leads, and those are real easy things to win. But I think that if you're not at least dedicating a little bit of time out of your week to have some type of call with someone, you don't know who you're going to call and you don't know what leads you're going to get out of that. Now, my cold calling challenge has been 100% cold. There's no interaction with our business prior whatsoever. And so how we did that was obviously we generated a list of qualified landlords. We got the VAs to help with that. And we...
What an amateur.
And then we grab those numbers. So I've just got that call list, and for myself, I'm responsible for the growth in Geraldton. So it makes it really easy for my call script. Hey, we're a new agency in Geraldton. This is our fee structure. This is what we're doing differently. And that's worked really well.
Okay, let's go like way back to basics. So new area.
Yep.
And because this would be good for anyone that's even an established BDM but just wanting to market a new area. So new area. You said you got the offshore team to do the list. Are you able to share how they're doing that? Are they doing that from RP Data and ID4me?
Yeah, so basically what we did was a data scrape off RP Data for the properties that have been leased in the last 12 months and broken it down by suburbs. And then we extrapolated that list and ran it through ID4me. So that's how we got all of our initial call numbers.
We had a situation the other day where our BDM had done that and had contacted someone and had a bad experience where the lady was just like, where did you get my details from? And my BDM she really panicked. She hadn't really had that happen before. And I said to her, listen, you know what, call ID4me and just ask them for a spill on how you should respond, which was probably the best thing that we did because it made her feel more comfortable. She got the spill from ID4me. She sent that through and she actually told me the other day, she's actually now got a meeting with the client.
Yeah, so my best objection on that is I obviously don't want to tell them that I paid for their data because then they'd feel like really, I just said that we have a qualified marketing team that looks for qualified clients, and I put the question back onto you, are you a qualified landlord? And then they think, yeah, but and then that kind of changed the call script because it puts them in like, oh, am I like worthy of this call? And you're like, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
Really
so it's a good little objection handle without saying, I paid for your data.
Exactly. What, are you able to sort of put like how many leads should or could an offshore team member produce you? Like if someone's out there and they've got an offshore team and they wanted to know, well, how many leads is normal to be given each week? Like what would you say?
Look, I would say, and this is going back to my backstory, right? And I'm quite lucky to have Associates Co as a part of Ella's business. So when I first started Inspection Express, I actually hired one of Ella's VAs to start doing my data scraping for all the real estate agencies in Perth, and then grabbing all of their names and numbers and creating this list. So if you dedicated a full VA to doing that, and if they're doing it through RP Data and then ID4me, I could say easily a VA could get you about 10 to 15 an hour. That's just them manually doing it. But the faster way would be obviously to do that data scrape through RP Data, get all the names and numbers, and then wash that through ID4me. So you can do a bulk wash through ID4me.
Amazing. I just love you sharing those numbers because I think that it's just that next layer of detail is really good for people to have of what's doable and what's not.
Yeah. And so that was a grunt work, obviously, initially for the VA, but then the post support for my VA as well is that we never had a CRM. We do now have just onboarded PME Grow as a part of our CRM. So we're able to upload that exported list into PME Grow. And then I worked really hard to create my nurture campaign. So I actually don't touch PME Grow all that much. My VA probably knows more about PME Grow than I do. So I will just basically have my call list. It's off a spreadsheet, very old school, but I just put in my notes in there. And then when I get a call and they say, yes, send me through some information, that's what I would qualify as a lead. So then I will highlight that on the sheet. The VA will record the call note, enroll them into a nurture campaign. The only thing that PME Grow doesn't do, which I wish they did, but my VA puts in a call task to follow up.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. So that it's like just constantly rolling in the background and I'm just moving on to the next call, to the next call, to the next call. Out of all of those calls, and this is a question that someone will ask, how many calls did I smash out this month? Look, I got to about 960 calls in this month. I've had school holidays and...
Did you do it for the whole month?
Yeah, I did it for the whole month.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Pulled back on the school holidays, I was probably only averaging about 40 to 50 calls.
Yeah.
But if I can get a full office day, it's quite easily for me to smash out 100 calls.
So let's just round it up because I remember 1,000 cold calls for the month. Yep. Do you remember how many leads, like how many people were like, yes, send me through your info?
So it would be, I could get one lead an hour and was probably averaging 15 to 20 calls an hour. So I got
it's really early, Kenslee. Can you please give me?
Out of those, I got about 145 leads out of those 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would they be the only ones that you put onto the CRM?
No.
Did you put the rest on there still?
Yeah, still put the rest on, that I made a call at some point, and then so if I get bored again, I'll go around for the second call. The other important thing to highlight as a BDM as well, these cold calls aren't just as well to landlords. I think it's really important that I've also used my VAs to write me a list, the same way as I did when I was at Inspection Express. Find me all the buyer's agents, find me building inspectors, on that list, and then that can form part of my cold course. I haven't got past that part because I've still got 2,000 for ID4me. But yeah, that's what I'm getting them to build into the next part of that.
Are you doing a second month of 1,000 cold calls?
Yeah, I have to. I really have to, to get the grunt work of getting those leads. So my first month, I did bring on 9 managements.
Yeah, great.
And then this month I'm at 12.
Great.
Yeah, so really and those have been a combination of leads that Hayley hasn't been able to, do. So those numbers are
because she's in hospital giving birth.
She just had a baby. So the numbers are a little bit skew with, but it's still, leads that I've been able to generate.
But that's literally in your first month, isn't it? Well, that's really impressive because one of the questions I was going to have for you was what, and this is not necessarily for you, but just in general, with all your experience in real estate, is how long do you think people should give a BDM to start bringing in leads?
12 months.
12 months, yeah.
I think so.
And what would you expect for someone to do, for 12 months to start bringing in the leads, and do you mean within that 12 months, maybe the odd 1 or 2 per month? Or
I think that a good BD should be within the first 6 months be getting up to that 5 to 10.
Yep.
And then anything post that's where you're going to see some more numbers, because you forget that, a BDM might move and they might have a small amount of referral partners, like buyers agents and things like that. But if you're looking at some of these smaller businesses that haven't really got a name for themselves and things like that, it's about that BDM reintroducing your business to the consumer, basically. And that will take time because, it's the trust and rapport that takes a lot of time.
Yeah. One thing that we heard last week at the conference was the difference between relationship manager and BDM. And I thought that was really interesting because for me, with my team, I've got one who is very much BDM, but then I've got one who I would probably say she's more of a relationship manager in that she really is deepening the roots with relationships. And so while the numbers aren't coming through as high as the other one at the moment, long term, there is so much value in what she's doing in retention and also the referring partners that she's doing and dealing with. I see long term that being really great. So for me, I think it's, you've got your short term activity and then you've got your long term activity, and you can't just focus on one or the other.
No. Well, I actually thought about this when I was driving the other week, because I've obviously worked in bigger businesses. How come other smaller real estate agent offices haven't thought about an SDR or appointment setter? So if you've got a really good relationship BDM, and they're not great at cold calls, not everyone is, why not get someone who would sit through and do the cold calls and do the appointment setting for your relationship BDM? Yeah,
absolutely. So Natasha from my BDM is someone that does that. Yeah. And so you can literally, like you said, just get someone like that in. I mean, I'm sure any salesperson, they don't have to have real estate experience.
No, they don't. Not at all.
Just anyone, just to get those appointments in the diary. Yeah. So having a look at the gaps that your BDM might have, I think might be a good idea. And then, just bring someone in to supplement that. Yeah. So while cold calling can be a really good short-term activity to do, to number one, just keep the BDM busy, I guess. And,
what else are we doing?
What else are you doing? Correct. But from a short-term point of view, that's really great, creating traction. Are there any long-term strategies that you are doing simultaneously to protect that long-term growth, or are you seeing this cold calling as both short-term and long-term?
I'm seeing it as both. As in, when I do my cold calls, I'm not very salesy. I've never been that type of BDM. And when I would say my purpose of a call is to get them to just at least say yes to get some information, right? Because that's where we're starting to build that rapport and we can start having that conversation. The second part of BDM is maybe it's not just the cold calling to a client you've never spoken to. Why haven't you called your existing clients? If you've got a large portfolio and if they're happy with your service, why can't you just say, how's everything going? Have you got a friend that's having a trouble or anything like that? That's what we did when I first started, because I oversee the Geraldton office. And just an introduction, we also gave them a market update as well. And we got 2 leads out of that. And we've only got 200 managements in Geraldton at the moment, but 2 is really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do the annual investor audits, and for me, calling your existing clients is great. If you're doing an annual investor audit, it's even better if you've got the time to do that with them. But for me, like, I woke up this morning and had a client that was like, we've got 3 properties to bring over to you. And I did a bit of a post on it because I'm like, I get so frustrated at other agents. I'm like, guys, like
Not a messaging service.
I don't need these. I mean, it's great that I get these referrals. I'm not complaining and I'm not hating on it. But guys, like, people are losing them.
Yeah.
Really for no reason. Like, I feel bad for them that they're not, maybe doing, staying in touch with their clients and all of that. So it's crazy that they don't do that. So I think that that's actually a really good tip. If there's someone listening that maybe is like, you know what, cold calling, I just can't do, like, that'll give me anxiety. Maybe
call an existing client.
Call your existing clients.
Yeah. Do you know why? Because they already like you. They're still
Correct.
with you.
Well, let's hope so.
And if they're not, that's a perfect opportunity for you to turn it around, rebuild that trust.
Yeah.
And then they're not shopping around, if that makes sense. But I agree. Like, I've done real estate for so long now, and the flick from a property manager saying, what should I do? The clients hired you to solve their problem. Give them the problem but a solution at the same time.
Yeah.
Packages up like that. But we have AI now, so like, I'm sure AI could help you create a solution.
Absolutely. That email this morning was that 3218. That's what you were referring to, that 321. 132 it must have been. And so, that was referring to people just not forwarding on emails, because people still do that. Property managers still go, see the email below from the tenant, what would you like me to do?
And I think still a big missing part of the industry is because we're so service-based is that, we do get office leads. And so when I take an office lead, they're like, oh, you called so quickly. Oh, you picked up the phone? And it's like, that's my job.
That's right.
But so many people are just so afraid to make the call, and they'll hide behind long, lengthy emails, whereas 90% of the problem could be solved over a 5-minute phone call.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was speaking at Remax last week, and I was saying to the group, listen, like, I love an email as much as the next person. Like, I rather not call, but it is a lot easier just to do it, and you can tell the tone of people. You can solve issues, and while people are out there complaining that they're burnt out and that they've got so much work and all of that, it's like, just be really, really honest with yourself.
And even like, I love a voice note.
Love a voice note. So do I.
Clients love a voice note. On a message. Once I've got them connected on my phone or WhatsApp, voice note, they love it.
I reckon that absolutely is a big thing. Now, I have got some questions which I just thought I would bring up, and I did put into my chat. Let me have a quick look. And I said to chat, give me some juicy questions. So I'll throw some out. Let me just find. Okay. What's the rudest thing someone said to you during your cold call challenge?
Nothing. Actually, it's not even that scary. The scariest one was that lady being like, where did you get my number from?
Yeah.
And I just thought on my foot. And I was like, oh, well, I got a marketing team that does this. So is that you? And she was like, yes, that is me. But how did you know? I said, I have a marketing team. Do you want me to take them off the list, or do you want to be on the list? She goes, I'll be on the list, thanks.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, that's a good for everyone. Second one is, if you tracked your hours honestly, did the challenge actually pay for itself, or could you have gotten those leads faster by taking clients, out for a coffee or face-to-face or on socials? Like, what's your thoughts?
I find that cold call challenge is really, really hard to see in short-term goals, right? It's not until you consistently do it that you will see some return on investment, some ROI, right? Because if I have to wait, I'm going to say no, because I've only converted one lead out of the last month into a management. Out of my 950 calls this month. So it does feel like it's a slow game, but as I said, if you set it up, you do the nurture campaign in the background, I'm doing all the grunt work now to have an easier 12 months.
Yeah, and I love that quote, because I hugely believe that you can make the short term harder for an easier long term, or you can make today easy, but you're going to consistently find it difficult. Being having to do it for basically the rest of your life and not getting the performance. What other juicy questions do I have? Sorry, let me just have a quick look. Okay, if a principal told a brand new BDM tomorrow, your whole job is 100 dials that day, is that setting them up to succeed or burning them out before they learn the real skill? Do you think, let me reframe that. Do you think anyone
Wants to do 100
can do cold calling?
Anyone can do cold calling.
Okay.
I absolutely believe anyone can do cold calling.
Okay.
It's whether or not you have it's not very mentally stimulating, let's be real.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you've got to say the same script over and over again. Actually, this is a good little tip for anyone listening, was that I have Claude. So use the brand voice that you had like trained us in PMC Lab.
Yep.
So I did the brand voice, and then I got Claude to write me a call script, a play-by-play.
Yep.
And I have the same call script open for every single call. And that's what I'm saying. It's not mentally stimulating because I'm saying the same thing every time, every call opener.
Yeah.
But if someone had set that person a challenge, and so if you're a principal, a licensee, a business owner, and I've worked in high-performing sales teams as well, the 100 calls is become very standardized for minimum requirement for any business development manager. Because how are you meant to bring in business if you're not reaching out to anybody?
Yeah.
It's just not going to work, is it?
Yeah. And last week at that event, they were also saying like they had a not negotiable, which was
face-to-face meetings.
the 3 face-to-face meetings. So I guess at the end of the day, that's probably where I think it's important. This is the important takeaway, is have that not negotiable. And if the not negotiable is 3 face-to-face a day, or if it's 20 cold calls, maybe it's just 10 cold calls.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't actually really matter the number.
No.
It's just the routine and the consistency.
Yeah.
Would you think that would be fair to say?
Exactly. But I'd look at sales teams now.
Yeah.
That sales, cold calls for sales, non-negotiable whatsoever. But we never thought about it for property management.
Yeah.
And now the market's softening again. People are like, oh, sales teams are going to have to get on the calls again.
Awkward. Next minute, all the sales agents becoming property managers.
Well, I remember when I first started in real estate, I worked for Mark Hay, and one of his things for his junior sales reps were they were on the dials.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taught a lot of them a lot of resilience.
Yeah. I honestly have never cold called in my whole career life. So to play devil's advocate for me, and what's comfortable for me is I love marketing to many. So that's like my thing. So I have my community groups. I have obviously my LinkedIn is big. I have focused all my attention on that, and I get good business from that. So for me to play, again, this is just devil's advocate, this is the way my brain works. If I post to many, and like I said, my community group's really great as well on WhatsApp, I find that I allow people to trust me in their own time, and then I would rather get a call from a client, because then in a way with the power of when you do some training in like influence and stuff like that, what they'll say is that when you have to call me, then I hold the power. But as a cold caller, if I'm calling you, then that person holds the power. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think definitely. And because I actually made one cold call once, and he ended up having sold his investment property a couple of months ago, but he was a local guy in Geraldton. He goes, thank God you weren't Aussie, because if you were some other, he's like, I might have hung up the phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, look, I appreciate that. And I feel like, yes, they're on the guard. How many times do we get a call from a telemarketer or whatever it might be, and you hang up because you're just like, I don't have time to think about this.
I hung up because I thought it was a market. It was actually a client.
It was a client, exactly. But I think that there is something in that for the strategy side of off the grunt work, right? Because many, many years ago, before you even had PM Collective, you had shared with us your insights. So if I have made that lead, do you think it's worth adding them on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Adding them on a WhatsApp group. And then that way they are getting the information for free from you. Might not be necessarily the client right away, but you're building that rapport passively is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. So in my WhatsApp community, which I've probably not been too active with growing it, but I've got about 330 people in that group, and they're not all clients. There'd probably only be maybe 10% clients in that. So for me, I like that, because I actually did a couple of videos in the group the other day But I find that that's like a semi-private group, and same with PM Collective. Like I've got the WhatsApp community where it's just that little bit more private than those big general groups on Facebook. So for me, I see potential with smaller little groups and creating little communities in a, I guess maybe if like reflective of like, you know, the cold calling versus, you know, me who does the polar opposite, it's probably less about the actual task and more about just committing to it and doing that consistently.
That's right.
Because I do mine consistently and I still perform well. You do yours consistently, perform well, but they're two different tactics.
Yes, that's right.
If we were to potentially, if you were to do what I'm doing and I do what you're doing, could there be even more potential? Like,
definitely.
I guess there would be.
Yeah.
So really then in a business where it comes down to is imagine getting the two
to marry together,
two BDMs to marry together to work as one. You do this, I'm going to do that, because, you know, that's where their energy goes. And I think that's the thing, the energy of where people spend their time is, it comes through naturally. So that's probably the biggest probably takeaway is, does an office have potential to have two BDMs working as one, both with their skill set?
Both with their skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, as I said, Hayley's a very relationship-driven BDM, and it shows in her work with the amount of consistent month-on-month hitting 50 new managements per month. Even when she had that baby.
Yeah.
Beautiful little daughter. She was still working. I was like, take a break,
I noticed. I knew she would be back.
No.
I had no hesitation.
4 weeks and she's back with a bang. So
absolutely. Yeah. No, we all knew that was going to happen. And also like having babies, I always say, it's actually the easiest to come back when they literally just sleep.
They sleep.
And feed all day.
Yeah.
In 6 months or 12 months, it might be a little bit harder for her. Speaking about you, Hayley, not too young. But, you know, that will be a bit harder, I would imagine, for someone. But in the earlier days, potentially a little bit easier.
Yeah. And I think that was the whole reason why I joined Platinum, because Ella started that with her 2 small babies. And Hayley's gone on to have her 4th. We sat in a podcast when Emma was still a tiny little baby on my chest. Yeah. You know, so I think that being surrounded by women who are like, I still want to achieve well in my career. Just because I have kids doesn't mean I'm in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when actually Millie was asking me the other day. She said, "Did you ever have time off when I was a baby?" I don't know why she asked that question. She's probably plotting some sort of psychological issue she's got because of it. But I remember I said to her, I said, I would just put you in a baby Bjorn and I would just cover you up. And I said I would just arrange my appointments around your sleeping and feeding. So I said, you know, if I had an 11 o'clock appointment, I would feed you at 10 o'clock. You'd then sleep. I'd take you out to an appointment. No one even knew you were there. Like literally just put the muzzies over you. Is that what people? Muzzies, what I used to call it. Is that a muzzy? You know what I mean?
What?
I'm like a Muslim.
Muslim cloth. Yeah.
I used to call it a muzzy.
No. Okay. All right. Never heard of it.
I'm very out of touch.
Euphemism.
Very out of touch.
But do you find that we've seen a massive shift post-COVID for that?
So I remember gossip going around South Perth, like saying how unprofessional it was. I was taking a baby to an appointment, but I think now, post-COVID, I don't necessarily feel that people would take their babies to appointments, but are they working at home alongside children? Yes. Yeah. But that I don't think would be visible to the client. Like I'm not seeing people take their babies out. Not that I have any problem with that. For me, if it was anyone in my team, I probably, I don't know. I'm just trying to think, because even like when Casey had Ella when she was with us, and I think Ella might have gone to appointments and home opens and stuff as a toddler, and I never really worried about that.
No, I've brought Emma to some home opens too.
Yeah.
I find that like it also then carries your business ethos, right? Yeah. If your client was going to have a problem with that, are they really your client?
Yeah. The last time I took my kids out for a home open, it was many years ago. I'm pretty sure they were like 5, 7 and 9 and they went through the legs of a person who was just standing there like they thought it was like a tunnel game, and that was the last time my children have ever been allowed.
Luckily, mine don't come to many home opens, but I remember when they were little, like doing a property condition report, but go and stand in the corner outside of the photo, and then I'd open a cupboard, get out of there, I'm taking a photo. They've since learned, but now with the 360, got nowhere to hide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've got Millie actually coming to do workplace with me on Fridays just for the next semester.
Yeah.
So I've actually got proper work for her to do though. So we'll see how that goes.
I just wanted to track too about returning into BDM with like my brain, my knowledge and my skill set. I think sometimes also too, I'm getting pulled into some operational things because I'm like, oh, that could be easily fixed.
I know. Do you know, it's really... I think while it's fine every now and then to be pulled back into operational stuff, and I've seen this a lot with even with BDMs where someone's on leave or they help that person out. It's fine to do, but it has to be so random that it's not seen as an expectation. Yeah. Because this is one thing that I do have seen is that, like for a BDM, for example, if you are a BDM and it's not your role to do home opens, but you go and do home opens, then a property manager will get used to you doing that, and then there's an expectation set. And it's like, well, hold on a second, that was only just a bonus. I'm really big on not creating expectations, and that's why things just have to be random. So for you, if you were to step into something that you saw could be fixed and it was just random, fine. If you were doing it like every single day, I'd be like, Kenslee, watch yourself, because you're gonna end up in there.
Back in. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. But is it okay to help out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
I've done keys or, I'm on the road. Most BDMs are on the road. Yeah. So I'm more than happy to help in that aspect.
Yeah. And it's good just to stay in touch with everything as well and the processes. Okay, let me have a look at my other questions that I've got. We spoke about growth with expectations from, you mentioned sort of like, a BDM needing a good 12 months to see that traction. For me, I would say... And this is just experience with, our new BDM who was also looking at a new area or looking at BDM in a new area that we still managed but just weren't active. And so she's been with us for about 3 months, and I think she's doing about 3 managements per month now, which I'm really happy with. And that's been just with her style. She's very much networking with in face-to-face, and I'm happy with that growth. And I would probably hope to see that probably double to maybe 6 in about months 6 to 9 with a plan that we get to about sort of 10 for at the end of 12 months, 10 per month, which for me could anyone be more aggressive? Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
I'm lucky that I'm sort of at the point where I'm happy with them doing consistent, what they're happy with, that they don't go too hustly because it's not necessarily their style. I feel like it's probably because as a business owner, it's not that I'm not as hungry, it's just that I wouldn't want anyone to be doing something that really was like.
But is that the right BDM?
I know. No. I know, and I'm saying it to myself, and I'm like going, of course. Like, why wouldn't you want more? I don't. No, I think I love the energy that each of mine bring. Yeah. And as long as there's growth, I'm actually okay. And actually, this is interesting because I was speaking to Marissa about business goals the other day, and I was like, I don't have business goals. Like, I don't actually really care as long as it's moving forward. So for me, as a business owner, I actually don't know currently what our numbers are. All I know is that we're heading in the right direction. That's all my focus is. And so if I was a business that had really hard goals, absolutely I'd be tracking them and wanting more and wanting to make sure those numbers were performing. But I think for me, as long as it's
I think also to add at the back end, one serious question that any business development manager should ask if they're going for an interview is that, what is the goals onboarding, but also to how much are you losing out of the back end? Yeah. Ask a business owner, Last time they checked, how many managements have they lost?
People don't know that number. I've asked
number.
a few businesses lately. So I have heard mixed. I've heard most people that I've spoken to, like experts, have said 15% is really where it sits. Some people, it could actually be 15 to 30% depending on their market. We, after doing the annual investor audits, we fluctuate between 5 and 9% churn rate, which is really good, really good. So I'm very, very happy with that. And that's probably why that growth, as long as it's forward, I'm okay because I've got the rest under control. However, I think with churn rate, they say that half of that churn rate is avoidable and half's non-avoidable. But I would also question, like if we use 15% as a figure, and let's say that half of that people would say it's unavoidable, their sales. I actually would question sales. I think sales can be avoidable.
Yeah, I think sales can be avoidable, especially in this market at the moment. Yeah. So people are post-budget, really unnervy, thinking about things. But I also remember when we had such a downturn in the Perth market and so many landlords and investors were like, I literally cannot afford. I said, I can't tell you, I can't give you a crystal ball, but please, if you could afford to hold on to these properties, I would recommend you do it. And now look at it. Most of them are doubled in value. But we couldn't tell them when that was going to happen. No one knows when that's going to happen. But also too, I find it's sometimes tricky then for the sales side. Would you consider it a loss if it's then referred to bill, for example?
Well, I don't think, I mean, I still think it's I would still call it a loss. Has it affected the business? No. But exactly. To me, a loss is a loss still. So if you look at that 15% and you say, okay, half is sales. Of that half, I would say that another half of that would be avoidable, which really means that you should, if you've got a 15% churn rate, I reckon you should be able to try and get that down to 10%.
10%, yeah.
That would be what I would aim for as a company. I think 10% would be a healthy churn rate for normal stuff. Probably a little bit less if you could, but that would be like really a big focus. And whenever I go in and have new members come through and trying to sort of work out where they're at, that's the first thing I always ask. What's your churn rate? And because that tells me whether there's a retention issue or a growth issue, and then you know where to start. Because there is no point looking at growth if you are
you're losing.
Correct. So then it's like, okay, but if your churn rate's really good, great, let's focus on your growth modules. But if you're not, let's focus on retention modules.
Well, I'd heard from a really large real estate office that the pressure was on their BDs to bring on X amount. And they said, it's actually depressing because the amount of money, the amount of properties you're bringing on, we're actually losing out of the back end. And they really brought that BDM team down. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, as a business development manager, I'm selling the services of the agency. If they can't maintain that relationship or keep that client, then that's actually a poor reflection on me. Yeah.
But I've heard bigger agencies actually have that as a business model, that they actually just
churn through them.
It's like they accept the churn rate. So therefore, like our churn rate's 20%, therefore we need to bring in this many managements. And it's like, what?
Hang on.
Hold a second. There's a lot easier way. There is an easier way. And that's where like even if you were to bring in a BDM whose sole responsibility was retention, it's like a BDM in reverse. That to me would be value. And that's what I would be doing.
If you were going to do that, how would you incentivize that person?
I'd probably incentivize them for every annual investor audit they did. They got paid for it.
Yeah, a client meeting.
Yeah, because that would probably be the best way to work out still what their whole package should look like, but have a base plus have
the investor audit.
Yeah, have the investor audit.
A KPI of 10 calls to clients to follow up for the investor audit.
Absolutely, because there is growth available in those calls. Like you said, you were able to get some new business through that way. I've been able to get business through annual investor audits as well, just simply by saying to the client, hey, do you have any other properties you'd like me to do this report on? And they're like, oh, actually, here's the address. So that's been really great. But the other thing is that with the annual investor audit and the invites that go out, only about 30% of owners say yes to it, to a face-to-face, which is fine. And I always say it's the invite that's important. However, if naturally 30% say yes to it, Gosh, imagine if I could get the other 70%
and see what's really happening.
Absolutely. Like that would be like so valuable to get in front of. So I think that would be something that I do. But it's just interesting that some people have that as a couple of large agencies I can think of. That's just their plan. Yeah, we have a high churn rate, therefore we just bring in more managements.
Or buy more.
Yeah. It's weird. So weird. Okay, let me have a quick look. Last question for you. It's been actually quite painless, hasn't it?
This was my third podcast with you.
I haven't been too controversial. Okay. All right. If cold calling only works when it's consistent and most people would probably quit after 2 weeks of doing it, is the real problem the method or the mindset, and what kept you dialing on day 20?
There's definitely mindset about the consistency, and also to not being too hard on myself. If I was like feeling it mentally drained, cold calling is energy transfer, right?
Yeah.
So if I was not feeling it that day, I'd be like, okay, let me just get to my 20. And I might have got to 19. I was like, this is the last one. But the consistency on that, and I think the more you do it, the more natural you get at it, the process. Does that make sense? So yes, you might have a massive uptick day and you might feel super productive, but you're still getting the same results if you do it consistently in small doses. I think if you really dislike cold calling and it gives you the ick, like I had someone reach out to me and was like, after I saw your story, I did 3 cold calls and I felt like being sick. And it's like, it's okay. Like at least you did the 3. Does that make sense? So don't be so hard on yourself, and always try and dedicate the time. If you don't like doing cold calling, do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Don't wait until the afternoon, because it's like going to the gym, right? I only go to the gym first thing in the morning because I know I'll never get there in the afternoon. So, and then also too, it doesn't have to be as crazy as my call challenge. It was like an internal joke, and you know, I wanted to, because you know, I feel like I'm a baby BDM. I'm returning to the real estate industry again after such a long time off. But just being consistent with those calls every day. And then I also think I've got to give a job to my VA to do. So I've got to be responsible for somebody else for some workflow.
Do you think that posting the challenge on social media helped you be accountable?
Yes, it did. So much so that I did obviously drop off of my socials. So everyone was asking me what I was doing. That's
why I said earlier, did you do the whole 30 days? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I only saw the first couple of weeks. Yeah,
and I did. And then anyone that's listening to this podcast also saw my stories. The school holidays happened, okay, guys? Like, I'm trying. And then,
I'm just hearing excuses, Kenslee.
No, the social things is hard. I actually feel like I need to get someone in to help me with that. But we had the thing with Nat, and it was like, oh, do you schedule your stuff? I said, no, I've never scheduled my socials because I just don't feel it's authentic if I schedule stuff. Anyway, but I think it is fun, and I really still want to find out if James Sir Jesus thinks cold calling is dead. Never responded to my story.
Didn't he?
No, never.
Didn't he? Okay. Interesting.
And hopefully I'll get an answer. And if I get an answer, I'll definitely post it on my socials. But I think it was great to post on the socials. Again, as you know, my background is business development management, B2B with real estate agents. So that's my audience, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a large audience of investors or clients and things like that. So it actually started so many discussions. And I was like pumped for it. I think that really helped with my motivation. So much so I had a 30-minute meeting with a real estate agency in Queensland because she was just like, what are you doing? Yeah. And I'm more than happy to share those things.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I'm sure that there'll be people out there that might it's probably just the start that they need, just that little prompt, okay, what's the first thing that you say? So if you thinking that you want to do cold calling and maybe your numbers aren't there and you need to do something, then reach out to Kenslee, who can help you with how she developed her script, and or just reach out to me and I'll put you in touch. And just to finish off, one last question. I've got these like random cards here.
Gosh.
These are deep. They're deep cards. So, okay, here we go. And they're very generic. What's a decision you made that felt wrong at the time but turned out to be exactly right?
Wrong was when I switched out of property management and then straight into B2B sales, because I had no sales experience whatsoever prior. And I was very lucky that someone took a risk. And I obviously proved them wrong. And I'm kind of here where I am today.
And it's probably made you a really great BDM, I would say, having that experience.
Yeah, cross-promotional, trying to sell to real estate agents.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to sell sell something to people, sell things all day.
Who's easier, to sell to real estate agents or sell to investors?
Investors,
Yeah.
for sure. Because they're coming to, like, either they've come to you because they've got a problem.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're a business owner as well, so you're probably glad that I don't have to call you 700 times a day to be like, do you want to buy what I'm selling you? And you're like, oh.
So basically, if you're a BDM and you think your life's hard, go call up one of the suppliers and referring partners for a job for 12 months, and then you'll find life easy.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you know what? There's a lot of them looking for jobs, looking for employees. So I'm pretty sure you could just go approach any of them and they'll give you a job.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate you sharing all of that information. Just a quick highlight for Associates & Co as well, because that's the offshore team that Kenslee uses at Platinum as well. And they're the ones that have helped with all the data and doing all the back end, so she can just do what she does best. So if you want any more information on them, just reach out as well.
Thank you.